Should be good. Can anybody hear me? Let me get a test on the audio, and then we'll go ahead and dive into this because I don't want to be I don't want to be going live with bad audio. We hit the 2-minute warning, ladies and gentlemen. Let me just make sure that again, if you are watching this, could you please give me a thumbs up or anything? Let me know that the audio is good before we begin. Audio is good. Thank you, Stevie Mac. All right. Yeah, now, usually I don't like doing the live streams because I know they're going to do terrible. No one's going to watch them. But that's okay because at the end of the day, there is still... Sorry, the game's still going on. So I'm just waiting to see what's going on here. So Kelvin Joseph picks it up. There's a lot to go over in this game, but there are a couple things that I'm going to talk about to keep it fully transparent with you guys. So, if you have any questions for me, by all means, put them now in the live chat. I'm not going to be responding to the live chat once the game is officially over, primarily because there's a lot of things that are on my mind that I want to go over in this live stream. Again, if you are just tuning in, the game's still ongoing on. It's 27-13. I'll update this, I'll update the score thing and title as if the score does change. But if you could leave a like, that'd be great. Subscribe if you're new. Hit that notification bell. If you want to support the channel further, hit the join button. Become a member today. All that other special stuff. I'm just praying that everybody gets out healthy. So, a minute 40 to go in this game. Again, I'm going to start my coverage once the game is officially over. I wanted to give time for people to come in. So, again, thank you so much for tuning in. Bear with me for 1 second. Alrighty. Titans look like they're just trying to run the clock out, and I'm just praying to God that everybody's healthy here. Let's see. We got about a minute left. It's second down and some change for the Titans. And I understand that other people are live, so of course, no one's going to really watch this. Kenny Lock, Kellen, and undisclosed. Look, I'm going to talk about that momentarily in just a bit, because I think that there's a bunch going into it. All right, let's see. Second down and 4. Is this the game here? They're just handing it off. Nice little gain for the running back, and this looks like the game is officially over. Titans aren't really running up to the line of scrimmage. Odds are they're going to run one final play, and this game will be over. And then your Dallas Cowboys will be 12-4. They match for the first time, I think, in a long, long time. They actually matched the freaking win total of 12 wins in back-to-back seasons since 1994-95. So, again, guys, I'm just waiting for the confirmation of this game being over, and then we'll begin. Alrighty. Clark makes the final tackle, and that does it. Your Dallas Cowboys are 12-4. After defeating the Tennessee Titans on Thursday Night Football by a final score of 27-13. What a big win. First time with 12 wins in consecutive seasons since 1994-1995. That is a huge accomplishment for the Dallas Cowboys and Mike McCarthy's group. And the Cowboys are still alive in contention for winning the NFC East. This was a tough one, guys. And I don't want to say it was a tough one because there's a lot that went into this game. Okay? So let's go ahead, let's pull up the stats real quick, and then we'll dive into a couple of other things. It really looked like, and as I'm pulling them up, it really looked like the Dallas Cowboys were in cruise control for a majority of the game. Whether we want to like it or not, that's just how this looked, The team didn't really care about going out there and giving you an A effort, and I understand that some people will be like, well, this is what the Cowboys do, and this stuff, and I get that, there is the mindset that as Dallas Cowboys fans, we want to see this team do better as we get closer to the postseason. You get your first road win in this little stretch here. While you still are alive for the NFC East, the odds are that you're not going to win the division, and I think that it's best, as much as people are going to hate me saying this, I think it's best that Philly wins this upcoming week so that Dallas can rest their players. I think that's one of the biggest things that worries me as a Cowboys fan, because in this game, you had plethoras of injury scares, actual injuries, you name it, okay? And so to start things off, we had the big scare with Dak Prescott. Something was up with his knee. He was hobbling And then he wasn't hobbling as much anymore. It looked like he was just fine. Now, we don't know if there's anything more to it, but that's something to monitor as we move forward. But he stayed in the game, and he closed it out. But that's something to keep in mind. In other injury news, Tyler Biadasz, we still got to find out what's going on with him, but odds are he could be done for the season. He could be done for the season if the ankle injury, because I guess he was walking out with a walking boot, so we'll see how severe that injury is, and then make our determination there. In other news, you basically had a play where all your secondary got injured. It was that turf, man. That turf really bit the Cowboys in the ass. And whether we want to admit it or not, the fact is that this is a team in Dallas that cannot afford to suffer such injuries. Like, we see the Titans were resting a lot of their guys, and thank you, James, for that. There's no more to Dak Prescott's injury. Cool. Thank you so much for that update. I greatly appreciate that. Now, with that being said, let's actually talk about the game, and now we'll get into the stats and stuff like that. In terms of what I saw during the game, the Dallas Cowboys came into this game, and I had this mindset that they were going to be on cruise control. Now, that doesn't give you an excuse to do that. Not at all. But it really felt like the Cowboys went into this game and they're like, you know what, guys? We don't really need to go out and win this game. We don't need to try. It looked like that. The running game wasn't good. And it felt like there were some plays where they just did them for the fact of we just need to get some yards, but it felt very vanilla. I mean, where's the stats here? The Cowboys averaged a disgusting, where was it? It was really bad. 97 rushing yards. They were averaging 4-point yards per rush, but it was bad. Like, the Cowboys really weren't doing anything special with their run scheme, and that falls on Kellen Moore. But again, it really felt like they were more concerned about just getting through this game than actually trying. You had Micah Parsons with the club on his hand. You had all these guys slipping and falling on the turf. I don't get it. I don't understand it. I'm glad the Cowboys got through this game. But the way I look at it, this team needs to play better down the stretch. Now, they did close the game out well. Yes, I understand that the defense had the hiccup when they gave up the touchdown. I understand that at the beginning of the game, Dak had the 2 interceptions. One was on Hendershot, one was on Dak. I get that, and I'm not excusing that play by all means. But the fact is your Cowboys are 12-4, and they came alive when they needed to and closed the game out. Again, I hate having excuses built in because, well, not really it's an excuse, but it's just the fact of the matter. So let's go ahead and let's start off with the offensive side of the ball with talking about how this game went. Dak Prescott, he ties Troy Aikman for most touchdown passes thrown in Cowboys history, but at the end of the day, that came at the cost of, him throwing some interceptions. Now, the first interception, Hendershot has to catch that, dude. I don't care how you want to slice it and dice it. If you have the ball hit you in the chest and you let it bobble up, that's what's going to be the end result. Now, the second interception, you're trying to force this stuff in because you're trying to get points. This is something that's becoming a reoccurring thing. Dak Prescott has not had a game that he has not thrown an interception in since week 11 back in the Minnesota game. That's not good. I understand it's something that's bothersome. The one thing that's redeeming about this, in this particular game, the Titans, I believe, only got 6 points off the turnovers, or 3 points. So I would say to that effect, the defense held up and limited the hurt of those turnovers. But you need to score points and put these teams away. And I think that what scares me is that you can't do this stuff in the postseason. So there is that. I think that Dak Prescott, while he now has 14 interceptions on the season and 22 passing touchdowns, I think that when you go and look at the film, and I touched up on this on my video just dissecting these interceptions, Dak Prescott has thrown now, I would say 7 or 8 interceptions that were his fault. The rest were off the receiver's hand. I cannot give the fault to him. So, with that, moving to the run game, right? And last thing on Dak, He did come up with clutch plays here and there, especially with some of these penalties that came up that I'm shocked the Cowboys got. But that's part of the game. He's able to force those. Good on him. But run game. Zeke, unimpressive night. I mean, only like 30-plus rushing yards, and same for Malik Davis. But again, I just look at that run attack, and that run attack looked vanilla as hell. Whether we want to admit it or not, the Dallas Cowboys came into this game running the ball very ineffectively. Very bad. There were moments where Malik Davis did pretty well. But again, it really felt like, and this is something that I'm kind of annoyed with Mike McCarthy here, I felt like after the second Schultz touchdown, you should have pulled your starters. You should have. Your defense was doing just fine, and I feel like at the end of the day, whether we want to admit it or not, look, you did enough to win the game. You knew that Tennessee wasn't going to give you any, any pressure, even though it felt harder than it really was. So I feel like the run attack, we did miss Tony Pollard in this game, and I do think that did play a factor. But with that being said, I do firmly believe that moving forward with Tony Pollard coming back into the fold, we'll see how this offensive line looks configured, and we'll go from there. Now, receiving core, T.Y. Hilton made some key plays here and there, right? And the fact is that that's something the Cowboys are going to need, because there were so many drops in this game by this receiving core. I was so upset. Noah Brown dropped a couple passes he should have caught. T.Y. Hilton, we don't need him to go on those deep freaking routes or anything like that. We just need him to use his, IQ to pick up key third downs. And that's exactly what he did, and he got you a little bit more. Lamb had a fantastic game. I believe he had 100 yards on the dot or more, and he had 11 receptions. So now CeeDee Lamb has over 100 receptions on the year plus. That's impressive, to say the least. I think that moving forward, that's something that is important. CeeDee Lamb has gotten better and better and better. And I think that that's going to be very key as the Cowboys move into the postseason. You need that guy to come alive moving forward. Now, with that, let's go ahead and let's move on to the offensive line. The offensive line got abused in this game. Like, there was no way to put it otherwise. They were not able to run block effectively. I mean, it was bad. And again, whether or not they were trying or not is one thing, but you as a coach have to look at that and you got to say, listen, I don't know what the hell is going on here, but that's a problem. Now, when Peters came in, he looked solid, and Smith looked solid at the left guard spot, and for McGovern, he kind of plugged and played. If you don't know from Penn State, he did play center. So that's something that the Cowboys have with him, with the position flexibility. And then Schultz, he came alive in this game and made two critical grabs. Like, he almost bobbled the one touchdown. But hey, you know what? I think the fact is that, hey, your offense did the bare minimum to win. I'm not pleased with how this team looked, and they have a lot to clean up. Defensively, though, I mean, I'm not shocked. I mean, you did your job. Like, I'm not going to give you a full round of applause because you held the Titans preseason squad to 13 points. I get it, crap happens in a game, but there were plenty of moments where I felt like you could have gotten some sacks more. There were a couple of sightings from players. Damone Clark came up big. Micah Parsons made a couple key plays. Everybody came alive. DeMarcus Lawrence, he did his thing too. So I do like what I saw defensively with some of the guys. I think Nahshon Wright, he has grown. He got an interception in this game, right? And I know he got beat on the one play, but the thing with that long pass, Donovan Wilson did not need to bite there, and he left that spot, that whole zone back there wide open. So that didn't really do the Cowboys any favors there. But Nahshon Wright made some solid tackles, and I give, he's trending up in the right direction. Special teams, okay? And, we'll get into the stats and all that other stuff. I think when you look at how things have gone with Kelvin Joseph needs to get off this football team. Kelvin Joseph had a handful of penalties in this game. It was like every single freaking time they punted and Cavante Turpin caught the ball and tried to make a play with it, it got called back. So the Cowboys were in a terrible place for field position, and moving forward, that's something that is going to hurt you, right? So I think the Dallas Cowboys, I'm sorry, Kelvin, sucks to suck, but you have no place on this roster. You don't. Like, if you are not able to do those things, and then I believe there was another penalty where if he doesn't touch the guy, he most likely, we most likely have a situation where we recover it there and the game's over. Right there. But, again, costly penalties, right? Like, this is the shit that annoys me. So, Kelvin Joseph, you can get off my squad. Brett Maher, the NFL's leading scorer. That's crazy to say the least. Another good game from him. And, I mean, nothing much more to say there, guys, in terms of that initial look. But with that being said, give me one moment. Anyways, with that, let's get over these stats, right? I think the biggest thing is that we start off with the quarterback, right? Dak Prescott. He threw the ball 41 times. And it was completed 29, 282 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. He threw the ball 25 times in the first half. And the Cowboys kind of had to throw the ball. And when I was watching the game, realistically, Dak had maybe like 2 or 3 passes that I didn't like. The interception, and there was a couple balls that were thrown that were over the place. But every other pass he threw, I did not have a problem. The interceptions, I'm not going to forego that. It's a problem. You cannot, and I mean cannot, give the other team a chance to score on you. You're lucky your defense backed you up on that, but this is becoming a problem, and this is something that the Cowboys are going to have to live with going into the postseason. That isn't an excuse. It isn't. It's a fact of where this team's at. Dak is causing a turnover a game, and that is alarming. So, unfortunately, that's where we're at. And I believe Dak had it because of that botched center exchange, first fumble of the season, and lost fumble of the season, more specifically. So, I would say this is kind of the dynamic that I'm seeing. Dak is playing good enough for you to win the game. There's just that timely turnover that's existing right now. Like, I don't know how to explain it because I've seen this happen, and like there's a yips factor there, and this has happened with some players with fumbling issues, some players that have thrown interceptions, but again, Dak made up for it. It would be different if we're sitting here talking about how Dak played like complete shit the whole game, but he didn't play like complete shit the whole game. He did not play up to the standard that we want to see, but he gave you enough for you to win. And I'm not excusing the poor turnovers, but I got to keep it real. I'm not going to complain if he's making up for that. So, with that, aside from 3 passes that I saw from him, he played a clean game, put air quotes, clean game on there. But let's get to the rushing leader. All right, let's go to, where's the box score? There it is. So, good Lord, oh my God. Malik Davis, 10 carries, 39 yards, averaging 3.9 yards per carry. And he had the longest carry of the game, which was 23. So you take that away, I mean, dude, that's not good, right? And the fact is, right, is that when you take a look at these stats that I'm looking at, I mean, Zeke, 19 for 37, averaging 1.9 yards per carry, and he had the 1 touchdown. I mean, sure, man, like, I get it that you look at that and you say to yourself, you know what? We were running it so many times on 1st and goal, right? Or 1st down, and however. That's not a recipe for success, but again, kind of going back to what I was saying on Twitter and here. It felt like the Cowboys were not trying to do a whole lot, and I expect the same next week. I do. I don't expect the Cowboys to show their hand. What I expect to happen, that they're going to probably play their guys, and then they're going to pull them. I mean, but What worries me, too, is that you're going to have a playoff game right after that game. You're not getting that first seed. I don't see it. So, this is the trend Dallas is on. You have to get this run game back going up. That's something we got to see. If we don't, Dallas is in some trouble. You cannot fully rely on the quarterback. Not saying we can't trust Dak to win you a game. We've seen him do it. It's just when you're in those high-pressure situations and you get one-dimensional, it can screw you as a team. The Dallas Cowboys need to get this run game going, and this is not just on the running backs, but your offensive line was not run blocking well. That's another part that scares me. So look, I think that I'm not hitting the panic button, but I don't like... I understand what they're doing, but I'm not in favor of it. You're going on cruise control to just get to the postseason and pray to God you're healthy. I don't like that. I really don't. Because you need to build some confidence. But I gotta just say it, dude. Like, that's what they're doing. And then you go to the receiving category. 11 receptions, 100 yards for CeeDee Lamb. Third straight 100-yard game. Dalton Schultz, 7 receptions, 56 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And T.Y. Hilton, 4 catches, 50 yards, no touchdowns. I mean, you look at that receiving numbers, and CeeDee Lamb, he got targeted 14 times, and Dalton Schultz got targeted 10 times. So they're actively looking for CeeDee Lamb, which is something that I've been begging for Kellen to do. Find CeeDee Lamb, get him the ball. And they're doing that. But that's all kudos to him. But I think the biggest thing when you look at those numbers is that outside of T.Y. Hilton, you know, Michael Gallup, he needs to start getting this thing going, right? Noah Brown, listen, bro, I get it. There's only so, like, I understand that there are some people like, well, you know, you only have so much with these guys, but that doesn't give these guys excuses to drop balls, not do anything. Like, that's going to kill you. That is, because there are moments where when you fail execution, that could cost you. Remember what happened in that, I believe it was in the Texans game, when Terrence Steele got injured? You want to know why that happened? Because Dalton Schultz didn't catch a touchdown pass, and look what happened. And it goes on defense too. I'm not going to just sit here and be like the offense is fully to blame. The defense has to know when to get these timely stops. So there's that. I mean, you look at the sack totals, that I believe the Cowboys had 2 sacks. Donovan Wilson and Dante Fowler, good on them. And then they had 10 quarterback hits and 5 passes deflected. And so with that, I would say that you look at this game and your defense did what they had to do. That's pretty much it. Your defense did exactly what they had to do to win this game, and I'm not super high, I'm not super low. It's just, guys, this is where they're at. So, if you're just joining this live stream, please slap a like. If you are new here, hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell. If you want to support the channel further, hit the join button, become a channel member today. It's all up to you. But least you could do is leave a like. Hey, it's free 99. So, with that, I want to give a shout out to, hey, Nahshon Wright got his first interception. Congrats on him. Brett Maher, 2 for 2, and 3 for 3 on extra points. As I'm looking at a couple of other things, please leave your comments, leave your questions in the chat. I will get to them, and then we'll go ahead and start closing this thing out. But I'm really not shocked the Cowboys came out like this, but what bothers me moving forward is that I don't want to see this team just take the foot off the gas. I guess the one thing I will flip the script on is that Dallas won't be going into the postseason with a loss that's on their own accord without it being like purposeful, like resting starters and stuff like that. But I just don't know, guys. I mean, there's a part of me that's nervous about where this team's going, the injury bug, how this offensive line's looking, the interceptions and the turnovers more specifically by the offense. Your defense needs to get healthy, and your offense needs to get their shit together. That is it. And so, I guess, as you guys, please, by all means, remember, put your questions and comments in the chat box. I will get to all of them. I think the biggest thing for me is this Washington game. You got a mini bye, basically. You got 10 days until your last game, which is cool. I'm okay with that, right? I'm okay with that. But, I mean, you got to get healthy, and that's the end of that. You have done enough. You have done enough to... Guys, when's the last time the Cowboys won 12 games and we matched the win total? 1994, 1995. Mike McCarthy just led this squad once again to that 12 win. That's amazing. Like, now they have a legitimate shot to improve upon that win total. That is scary. That is. Now, I want to talk about this because I saw some mentions of this on Twitter, and then I'll get into the comments. There are people like that talk about the whole chasing the 1 seed. Here's the thing. Obviously, when you look at the status of the NFC, you need Philly to lose a game, and then you're in play, right? I've talked about this earlier in the stream. If you missed it, this will be on a VOD, so you can go back and watch my coverage. I believe that the Dallas Cowboys sincerely just look at what happens on Sunday, and if Philly wins, rest your guys. No point. But some people were saying, does this put pressure on Philly? Not really, because Philly, look at their schedule. They play the Saints, who are technically still in the running for that division, but they'll probably beat them, because the Philly they do tend to beat the Saints. So I do think that Philly will close it out there. As for their final game, they play the Giants. Now, the Giants are trying to get into the postseason, so this is something that someone mentioned to me, too. I was in a group chat with my buddies, right? We were mentioning, do the Cowboys purposely take an L in the final game of the season, especially if Washington wins this week, to ensure they're in and Rodgers is out? Me, personally, I think that'll be funny as shit. But I think that that's kind of what you're looking at. That's something that you definitely are going to have to take a look at. But look, is the pressure technically on Philly? Well, yeah, in a vacuum, because, hey, your opponent won. Your division rival won. You got to go out and win. I think they'll take care of business. I picked them to beat the Saints. They do have a good track record versus the Saints. So, with that happening, and in all likelihood, Tampa, the big game you want to watch on Sunday, Carolina versus Tampa Bay. Whoever wins that game, odds are, is going to go on to win the NFC South. And for me, I don't give a shit who comes out of that division. I think that you can argue you want to get the better matchup versus Carolina. I understand that. But I think we got to just say this, guys. If you can't beat whoever comes out of the NFC South, just fire everybody. Just fire everybody into the sun. You have, this is literally, and for the people that are clamoring for Sean Payton, okay? For those that are clamoring for Sean Payton, this is a win-win for you. Because if the Cowboys win, yeah, they go further in the postseason. If they lose, you want to know what happens? Odds are the Cowboys are going to probably, because I've been hearing that Mike McCarthy's on that big-ass hot seat. And there could be a possibility that if another playoff mishap happens to especially a sub-500 team, if that happens to be the case, you're most likely going to see changes. So for me, that's a win-win, even though Mike McCarthy has done something that no other coach in Dallas has done since Jimmy Johnson and Barry Switzer's era, right? Technically, Barry Switzer was the final, well, not technically, he was. But that's just it, guys. I mean, that's where we're at. Mike McCarthy has to get it done. And who knows? Do I think the Cowboys are going to go one and done? If you put a gun to my head and said space, is this going to happen? My gut feeling is yeah, but my head tells me no. So with that, again, let's get to some comments and then we'll go off of those tangents there, right? So first things first, let's get to the beginning comments here. And again, leave your questions, comments, concerns there, and we'll get to it. So Stevie Mack, Kellen is terrible. I agree to some extent. I think with Kellen, he's young, and he's still learning, but I'm not giving, again, an excuse for that. Listen, the dude just became an offensive coordinator, 4 years ago? 3 years ago? I mean, dude, you need time to get better, and I think he should have taken the Boise job and gone from there. So there's that, but here's the benefit to this. Kellen Moore is going to get looked at for some head coaching offers. Him and Dak have had the number one offense in the league. And again, the Cowboys put up 24 plus points in this game now for the 10th straight time. So that is impressive. That is. Cassidy, why is anyone surprised this is who we are? People love to hype this team up, saying we should blow a team out when it's normally just going to be another slow game against bad. And that's the thing, or Casey, I'm sorry. My thing is that I said we should win this game, but I have not called out any blowouts. I think the only time that I said we were going to blow out a team was Minnesota, and it happened. Because you get a vibe for the team. The Texans game, I said, don't be shocked if they play it close. This game, it's a trap. I said, hey, like, keep an eye out. And people want to say Space, you're being too negative. No, it's just, that's how football works, right? Can we lock Kellen in an undisclosed location until the football season over? Why not? We already talked about it. There's no more to Dak Prescott's injury. The run play calling was worse than vanilla. It was a saltine cracker. That's fucking hilarious, Stevie. Hydra, what's going on? I wonder if we should have sat Zeke because he looked bad. I know Titans run D is good, but wow. To your point, Hydro, I kind of answered it. Your offensive line was not run blocking well. There was no lanes for Zeke to operate. There was no lanes for Malik Davis to operate aside from the big run. But that was it. There was nothing special in this game. It was a very vanilla attack, and it doesn't look like they were trying to do much, but it got one of your starters hurt. And you kind of had to turn to the pass. So, let's see here. I can't be mad at the running backs between Kellen and the O-line down. Yep. The Travis Frederick company, Damone Clark was flashy. I do agree there. I think that Damone Clark had some really nice plays. You actually saw Jabril Cox in the game, too. He did get a hand on one guy. But, I mean, I think that what I saw from Jabril Cox was he was speedy. He was getting there. So, maybe you're easing him back in, but that's it. Travis Wilson, do you do collabs? Would love to get on chat. I do, but I am a pretty busy guy on the weekends. If you're looking to collab, you can. I would recommend going on Twitter. You can either DM me, follow me at Space Cowboy MED. Again, Space Cowboy MED is the handle. You can either shoot me an email or you can DM me and we can go to do that. So you just got to let me know, my guy. One penalty was on a muff punt. Yep. Monroe, Dak is scaring the hell out of me, and understandably so. Listen, there's nothing wrong with being scared about that, because when you're averaging a turnover a game, that is not good football. But the one part that Dak gets me is like when I'm about to write, like when I'm writing down my notes, or like in my phone, I'm writing down like what I'm going to talk about, and I'm like, Dak didn't play well. Like, I have to revisit it and be like, Dak played well enough to win you the game. Like, I mean, there's that again. Like Dak Prescott, we can't have those turnovers in the postseason, so you can't be fucking around. So Stevie Mac, good things Dobbs didn't have all the starters with him. Exactly. I felt like if Derrick Henry played and a lot of these other starters played, Dallas probably loses this game. Just gonna keep it a buck there. Now that turf sucks out in Tennessee, but no excuse. You could have lost this game with Tennessee at full strength, and I'm glad. And when I think that this, and I'll get into this last, kind of looking at the future here. Okay. Patrick, what's going on? You can tell from the gate, Dallas honestly did not have three dams about this game. They were on complete cruise control, playing basic football, and if they won, cool. If not, stay healthy. Exactly, Patrick. And that's kind of where it's at. I'm not a fan of it. And you said, you said it, and you just said I'm bothered by it. I'm not, yeah, exactly. Like, I don't like it, but that's the case. Mutilated Pixelation, Dallas plays to their competition. If they play good teams in the playoffs, they'll play all. Like, and that's going to be the funny thing, is that Dallas might just be favored for that first playoff game, and it's probably going to be like a 4-point spread. Like that's what I think the spread in this game was 14, and Dallas just covered it. That's fucking crazy. So, yeah, I think that Dallas, if they can get past the first game, I'm good. Because Dallas is going to be favored. They're not. They're not playing well enough for Vegas to be like, yeah, I'm taking Dallas. Now, you might see them that way because of the betting and stuff like that, but I would expect Dallas to be favored in just these next 2 weeks. If they get further than that, they're probably going to be underdogs to Philadelphia, or if they go on the road to San Francisco, and so forth. Kirk, what was the final score? Says it in the title. It was 27-13. Showtime, what's going on? Gallup still isn't 100% to me, but I think he's going to make the difference in January. He should have made last year against San Francisco when we did. Right, and I think that that's going to be important moving forward, and I hope that Gallup's about 75-80%. What's going on, Retro? Scotty Hayes Space. Yeah, not impressed with this game. The first interception wasn't Dak's fault, but the second one, yep, exactly. What's going on, Julian? Dak and injuries will be why they won. Dak and injuries will be why they won even in one playoff game again. Put Mahomes, Burrow on this team, they win. Dak is a huge weak link. Doesn't sack. Huh? I disagree. I don't think Dak's a weak link because at the end of the day, the part that I say is that Dak Prescott is playing good enough to win you games. If you throw 3 bad passes, but you throw everything else fine or even amazing, I'm not going to bitch at you. But where I will bitch at you in the instance of the interception that you let Tennessee get some momentum towards the end of the half when they get the ball at half, you can't be doing that shit. It was a good play on the defensive back, and I give him props there. But on Dak, you have to understand the circumstances, and I think that, you're doing things just to try and force things, and we see that with Dak nowadays, and I'm not a fan of it. But moving forward, again, I don't think Dak's a liability for you. I think more so Dak is able to make up for it, but he's doing things that could, and I specify could, cost you. Right. We're cursed, Jimmy Johnson. Yeah, Blake, I could see that. Let's see what's going on here. But who cares if they lose in the play? 1 seed is dead. San Francisco has to lose also. I mean, I'm not saying they're going to get the 1 seed. I've already said it. I don't think there's a path. I think Philly's got it locked up, but there's that. All right, Stevie, sucks because their starters need to play to work out these issues, but at the same time, these players got banged up pretty good today where you kind of need to rest. Exactly, and there wasn't a moment where the Cowboys, it felt like they could pull their starters until the very end. It felt like they didn't earn the right, but at the half, I was like, fuck this, pull everybody. But that's where we're at. Michael, what's going on? Happy with the win and convincing score, but they look sloppy as fuck. They could have put 450 or 40. They could have. They definitely could have, but I think, again, it was a cruise control situation. Not a fan of it, but that's where they're at. Will Payne be able to hire his own staff and not keep Karen Moore on? I don't know. We'll see. Someone please hire Dumbass Moore. That's what I'm saying. Let's see here. I hope so, Retro Payton. Apparently already, yep, exactly. We heard that. I think a couple of things happen on Sunday. First, if Hurts plays, Philly wins, Minnesota wins, because if we win, they don't want to... Oh, I'm sorry, Showtime. Let me read that again. I think a couple of things happen on Sunday. First, if Hurts plays, Philly wins. I agree there. Minnesota wins because if we win, they don't want to... Gotcha. Yeah. Okay. I see. Yeah. Carolina wins the South even if we get 5. Okay. So a couple of things there. I think that Philly does win. I think Minnesota gets in a tough one, but I could see them pulling that out. So in Minnesota has something to play for. I think Minnesota because here's the thing. Minnesota still has to play for the number 1 seed, just like Dallas is trying to play for the division. So there is stuff to play for, and there's that. And I think Carolina could give Tom Brady a run and the Bucs a run for their money, but I still think Tampa Bay is going to win. When I see how these Tampa Bay games are going, it just looks like they want Tampa versus Dallas in the postseason. That's the end of that. But if you're playing Carolina, I think it's a better matchup, but they have been playing well recently. To me, the whole offense looked lethargic, and the defense had an up-and-down performance. Overall, a sloppy win that doesn't inspire much. It doesn't, but again, Retro Scotty, when you're playing cruise control and you're not trying and, you're trying to rest Tony Pollard and you're not really trying, of course you're going to get that result. And I expected it to be sloppy. It was raining. It was messy. Oh, my God. It was just bad. But, a win is a win is a win. Who cares? You move on. OG Timmy Sports, what's up? Sloppy win, but I'll take it. Injuries are very critical for all teams. Exactly. I could give a shit less. If the Cowboys lost this game, but everybody was healthy, I'm okay with that. And I talked about this in the last one. when we did the post game for the Philly game, I talked about it. I talked about how the Dallas Cowboys sincerely don't have anything else to play for other than the division. And at this point, congratulations, you got 12 wins. But you are in that 5th spot. You're not moving down. You're not moving up. That's the end of that. So I don't know what else to say. Let's see here. Had to phase 85 out. Please inform Brian Broaddus, 105.3 The Fan. Those targets can go to T.Y. Well, I don't have authority over that, but I will say I do agree with you, Robert. I think that Noah Brown has unfortunately played his way out of Dallas, and I think that T.Y. has earned another contract, maybe another 1-year deal. But realistically, until Michael Gallup kind of starts getting into a groove, which he's been up and down, you need to go with T.Y. You need to go with Michael Gallup and CD. That's it. Like, those are the only guys that I really trust. But even Gallup has been... Yeah, and then let's skip. Rip to our O-line rotation. Maybe Dallas takes the game seriously if Tennessee is playing their starters, clean the turnover. I think that's the case, Michael. I think if their starters played, I think Dallas actually plays a little bit better. But they didn't care. They didn't. Bearded Gods, I think we should use Davis more on the run game. And I think Dak, I need Dak to read the field better. But if we get the Dak what we had against Philly, we're dangerous. Exactly. And that's kind of what I'm saying here is that I think that for the Dak or for the Davis thing, would love to have that running back rotation. But if Tony Pollard's healthy and Zeke's healthy, that's your combination. I do think Davis has made a statement to stay on the team. And we'll see what happens in the future. Do they let Zeke go? What happens with Tony Pollard? But, you got something in Davis that I felt like Rico Dowdle could have been, but he wasn't. And then as for Dak reading the field better, I don't think it's a problem of, like, he can't read the field. I think the problem is that there's the gunslinger mentality where it's like, dude, I have to get this ball down the field in these situations. And it's high risk, high reward type of situation. We saw it with Tony. I'm not the biggest fan of the play, but again, that's just the end of that. Michael, I went and live in Fresno. I'm so happy about Bland, little shout out. Right, and Bland he's been playing really damn good. And if Wright is anything with what he's been doing, I think you're good. I think the Cowboys are getting into a groove on the secondary that you can get behind. They just got to play a little bit more consistently. That's something that I'm okay with, and I've been seeing that. That's good. I think offensively, Dallas just needs to just stop playing cruise control because I think they know where they're at. All right. Have a path to 1, 2, and 5. I believe Al Michael said before the broadcast ended tonight. Also, yeah, we're cursed. I said until Jerry passes, which sounds messed up, and I'm being... No, you're right. Bring on Charlotte, please. Yeah. Again, if anybody has liked the video or not liked the video, please make sure to like the video, subscribe if you're new, hit that notification bell if you want to support the channel even further. Hit the join button, become a channel member today, or you can hit the super chat, whatever works for you. So again, with all that out of the way, I think that moving and looking forward, I think that you're going to play Tampa or Carolina. Of course, we got to put that out there, but I do think you're going to play Tampa. So the question is, if you said, hey, Space Cowboy, do you think that Dallas is going to beat Carolina? I would say, yeah, I think they can. I think that you look... I'm trying to think of a comp. I can't really think of one, but I guess they're like... They're semi-like Tennessee, I guess. Like, they're just a team that has a decent run attack. They got some weapons offensively, but there's that. The Two Now channel, any idea when... He's out for the year, bro. He tore his Achilles. He's gone, bro. He's gone maybe... He could be gone from Dallas after this year, which sucks, but there's that. Let's see, what time is it? I got about a couple more minutes, and then I'm going to close this thing out because I got to work tomorrow. So, what was I going to say? With Tampa, again, you have a chance. I just am not afraid of Brady as much as I was because of how the team's played. But it's Brady, dude. We know how shit goes with Tom Brady. If you're playing Tom Brady, you got to beat the fuck out of him. And then you got to beat the shit out of that guy, right? You got to beat the crap out of that guy to the point to where, like, you're up so many points where it's impossible for the guy to come back. Because something that I've noticed is that if you keep it a one-score game, Tampa Bay will get you. But if you are able to put up multiple scores and keep them in a situation where they can't get those big plays, you can win. That's just the end of that. The offense goes deep like they're behind. I don't get it. It's either they're greedy or they panic. There's no reason to. I don't get it. It's keeping a defense honest, right? Because you have to take deep shots to keep the team honest. Like that's just where it's at, guys. And sorry, I'm just taking a look at something really quickly. Like, you have to keep throwing the ball. You have to take those shots. This is something that I got pissed off with Kellen earlier in the season. I felt like you weren't taking enough shots deep. And so with that, I think that you saw instances of how you're going to get DPI, which is something that is unfortunately a part of the game. You're going to have situations where, you got to know how to administer this thing moving forward. And I see it from Justin, and I agree. We was only experiment. I agree. I think that Dallas was trying some things, and that's just really it. I don't see much, and I guarantee you we're going to see something. And I think that this is what's important. What I think is going to happen is that come wild card weekend, people are going to be talking about how the Dallas Cowboys have been playing like shit. They're already going to get, because this is funny. The Dallas Cowboys always tend to play down, or when they are doubted, they go and win big. So I'm going to just see how narratives roll as we get into the postseason. I'm going to give you a better honest there. You basically got to play a perfect game against him and get him down at least 14. 10 isn't good enough to bury him. We've seen, I don't care if right. And I think that, and to your point, Showtime, I do believe that him going down that many points to those teams is interesting, because a lot of the teams he came back from, like, let me take a look at this. Let me take a look at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers record, right? Because Todd Bowles and Brian Wetz, like, that offense looks like, it looks, Let's see here. Current season. Where was it at? I just saw it. All right, so let's look at it this way, right? Remember, Tampa Bay, I believe, was up 17 points against the Bengals. It was like 17-3. The Bengals came back, right? I like how you're subjective on the other hand. Get to. I mean, listen, man. I'm just gonna keep it a buck with you. Is Dallas fucked? No, they're not. I think that Dallas is fine. Look at it this way, right? Look at the losses that they've taken, right? At home. Okay, Kansas City. Or where is it at? This is crazy. Tom Brady and the Pats, good lord, and the Bucks, they've only put up 30 points this entire season. And that was back in week 4. I'm not expecting Tom Brady to have an offense score 30 fucking points. I'm not. But what I am worried about, and this is something that I've been noticing in their wins, take a look at this. They won 19-16 in OT. They won 17-16. They've won 21-16, 16-13, 21-15, 20-10, 19-3. They win games when you don't put up points. The Dallas Cowboys have been putting up at minimum 24, 27 points a game. If you put up more than 20-something odd points, what is it? If you put up at minimum somewhat 23 or plus more points, you're gonna win the game. The Bucks, they're so heavily reliant on that defense. I cannot stress that enough. They are so heavily reliant on their defense to where if you can put up points, you're gonna win the game. Like, I'm just being real. The only way Dallas loses that first wild card game is if they do it to themselves, which they're definitely possible. And I guarantee you it's going to go down to the wire to where I wouldn't be shocked if Dallas lost. And I would prepare for that. Because the fact is, guys, and I'm going to just keep it 100% with you. I will own up to it. I thought the season was over. I did. I thought the season was over when Dak got hurt initially. Right? But it's a win situation because they're exceeding my expectations. They've won more games than I projected them to. I had them at 11 wins. Now they're at 12. Now, I'm looking at it this way. My quota is win just win a playoff game and we'll go from there. And let me tell you something. The hardest playoff game the Cowboys are going to have is that first one. If Dallas gets past that first playoff game, I think they're good. We can't turn the ball over, and we need better than 3 like the first game. Oh, yeah, I agree. Space keeps it real. Thank you for that, Stevie Mac. Yep. Yeah, those stats. CD's the best slot receiver at the moment. I think CD's the best receiver, period, with moving around and doing what he's got to do. Turnovers are a huge problem that this team must fix going forward. And Dallas fan 1997, I do agree with you there. And the thing that Dallas has done to counteract that is getting turnovers of their own on defense. And that's something that we are going to experience. And I know, like, what I don't like is when I try to keep it real, people think I'm making excuses for the team. You know me, I will tell you if I feel a certain way. What I'm feeling right now is this is a team that's not going to try until the wild card game, and then we're just going to see what the hell happens. If they lose, they lose. Like, I did not think they would get to this point, but if they win, okay. You know? And if they win and they go to Philadelphia, I'm going to be in Philadelphia. I will. Tampa is basically like a diet version of Minnesota. They're a team, like, if you put them in position to make it a one-score game, they will win the game. They will. They will most likely win the game on you. So, for Dallas, your main goal is to get your offense, or your offense is scoring enough points to where I'm like, okay. What I think is more the case, your offense needs to bleed clock, score points, defensively, lock shit down. You do that, you'll win this game in the postseason. Next game, I don't give a fuck. If you want to rest guys, go ahead. If you want to play guys, go ahead. But I'm telling you right now, you do not need to worry. Philadelphia will win. Our anxiety will go down. And, you know, congrats to them. They're having a fantastic season. And there's people thinking they're going to be one and done. I don't think so. I think Philadelphia is going to at least the NFC Championship game. And if they get past the 49ers, we'll see. But exactly, Michael. And I'm going to give you one of the big comments of the day. Discipline and situational awareness is key. That is the big thing. The play calling is huge. That's situational awareness. Defensively, you got to be aware of what's going on, right? Being disciplined. The Dallas Cowboys had, how many penalties in this game? They didn't have a whole lot in this game. The Cowboys had 3 penalties. They only had 3 penalties in this game. 1 holding, and the rest were special teams. Tennessee had 10 penalties. And discipline goes a lot more than the penalties, but the penalties have been just fine. I think that it kind of works in Dallas's favor. You're going to go into the postseason like people being like, I don't know, it's the Cow. Because that's what we're hearing already. That's what we're hearing. So, alrighty, guys, I've gone a little bit into the overtime. Any last-minute questions? But before we get to any last-minute questions and the last roll call there, please hit the like button. If you enjoyed what you saw here today, subscribe, hit the notification bell, do all that for me. And if you want to support the channel more further, hit the join button. You see it right there. Hit the super chat button if you want to do that, and then we'll be good there. So again, if there's any last-minute questions, by all means, let me just check my Twitter. When's the last... hold on. Most catches by a Cowboys receiver. Holy shit. Give me 1 second. Okay. CeeDee Lamb has officially joined one of 3 players to have 100 receptions, in a single season. CeeDee Lamb has 102. Jason Witten is the last Cowboy to do it at 110. In terms of receiving yards, CeeDee Lamb, okay, this is how good of this is crazy. CeeDee Lamb is having such a damn good season. If he does play next week, and he gets another 100 yards, that would put him at 1,407 yards, which would be the third most receiving yards in a season by a Dallas Cowboy receiver. That is something. Alrighty, let's see. Hey, Space, will you check out my workout? Yeah, sure, absolutely. I'll definitely check that out after this. Can the Eagles lose to the Saints? They can, but will they? No. The Saints are a team that are sneaky, and I don't believe the Eagles have beaten Andy Dalton ever, so that's something. Who's the QB for the Saints? Andy Dalton. Noah Brown. Yeah, exactly, Stevie. T.Y. Hilton is so far a stamp, so I'll pick up. I agree. The Eagles. But I will tell you this. If the Eagles drop a game, the pressure isn't on us. The pressure's on them. And so, I don't expect them to... But if I see Philly having another sloppy game, I'm going to be a bit like, bro, what the fuck? Like, come on, man. Don't be doing this shit now. But again, guys, I do appreciate everybody showing up, showing out, and doing what you do. And look, there's a lot going on. And I do, again, thank you so much for everything there. We're getting closer to 10,000 subscribers. I believe we're about 850 away. It's definitely something we're looking to hit next year. We are most likely going to hit it, so I'm excited for that. Yeah, guys, with that being said, I do hope you guys enjoy the rest of your night. The Cowboys win 27-13. They are 12-4, 4-3 on the road. They have a game upcoming versus Washington next week after a 10-day mini-bye. And with that, look, man, we'll just see how things go. But again, guys, please, on the way out, leave a like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, please, and thank you. And yep, Showtime, last thing I'll say, and Stevie Mac, you made a really good comment there. If Philly loses, they play desperate Giant team fighting for their playoff lives. Yeah, and that's if the Giants lose. So,